And fuck that. Oh, movie recap. Look at y'all.
Pacific Rim Uprising is one of those movies
nigga
that
here
genuinely makes
is a
you
movie
appreciate
recapper.
the first movie more. Because after watching Pacific Rim again, I was sitting there thinking, dang, we really had it good. The Jaegers felt huge, the Kaijus felt dangerous, the fights had weight. Stacker Pentecost had enough aura to power the entire Shadow Dome by himself. And then 5 years later, somebody looked at all of that and said, alright, but what if we made it look like Power Rangers? And thus, Pacific Rim Uprising was born. And I know somebody is already typing, Uprising wasn't that bad, Kaijutsu. Yes, it was. Stop being different. Get some help. This movie feels like somebody watched Pacific Rim through YouTube Shorts and said, yeah, I understand the vision. You do not understand the vision, because Pacific Rim 1 was already dumb, and that's why I love it. It's giant robots punching giant aliens in the mouth. This ain't The Godfather, but there was a specific sauce to that first movie. Guillermo del Toro had me completely accepting that two grown adults needed to synchronize their childhood trauma before a 250-foot robot could punch a dinosaur. That's cinema. Uprising takes that same concept and somehow makes it feel less believable. And that's impressive, because these niggas are piloting skyscrapers. We begin 10 years after humanity closed the breach, the Kaiju are gone, and everybody can finally return to what humans do best, ruining ourselves. And that's where we meet Jake Pentecost. Yes, Pentecost, as in Stacker Pentecost. My guy Idris Elba apparently had a whole biological son sitting in storage during the first movie. Nobody mentioned this nigga whatsoever. Stacker was adopting Mako, giving generational speeches, canceling the apocalypse. Whole time his real son somewhere committing felonies. Jake is basically the complete opposite of his father. Stacker woke up every morning ready to sacrifice himself for humanity. Jake wakes up wondering what government property he can steal before lunch. And honestly, I actually like the setup. The son of one of humanity's greatest heroes wanting absolutely nothing to do with his father's legacy. You could cook with that. Imagine everybody comparing you to Stacker Pentecost your whole life. Your dad saved humanity. Your dad was a war hero. Your dad canceled the apocalypse, dude. Dang, nigga, I know. Imagine being late to work. My bad, traffic. Your father would have made it on time. So Jake said, forget all that hero junk, and became black market Megamind. Bro is over here stealing old Jaeger parts and selling them to rich people. Apparently post Kaiju Jaeger parts are the new catalytic converters. Niggas got chop shops for Gypsy Danger now. Eventually, Jake needs a Jaeger power core and discovers somebody already beat him to it. And that's how we meet Amara, a teenage girl who has somehow built a Jaeger by herself in a garage. Like what?
How? Hold on, bro.
Do y'all remember the first movie? These machines were international government projects. Countries were pulling billions together just to manufacture and maintain them. Scientists, engineers, mechanics, entire facilities. Amara apparently watched Iron Man one weekend and said, I could probably do that. And before somebody says Scrapper is smaller, I do not care.
We do not care.
This is still a functioning mech. When I was her age, I couldn't put a screen protector on without getting bubbles underneath that mug. Shawty built Optimus Prime out of scrap metal.
Si Optimum Prime, fucking inang yan, Optimum Prime.
And this little nigga can transform into a ball too. Forget Jaeger School, put Amara in engineering immediately. Jake tries taking the power core, police show up, and apparently the PPDC takes stolen Jaeger parts very seriously because they deploy November Ajax, an actual Jaeger, to arrest two people. This is like stealing from Target and the police respond with an AC-130. Jake and Amara jump inside Scrapper and try escaping, and immediately you notice something about Uprising. These Jaegers move a little too good. Scrapper gets a pass because she's small, but November Ajax pulls up moving like a 2K My player. The first Pacific Rim understood something very important. These things are heavy as a mug. When Gypsy Danger took a step, you felt it. Building shook, water moved, metal screamed. When a Jaeger threw a punch, it looked like somebody swung an entire apartment complex. Uprising said, nah, we doing cardio. These niggas sprinting now. I know technology improved in 10 years, but dang, bro. Gravity didn't get a software update. Why everybody moving like Jaeger Ozempic just dropped?
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Scrapper eventually gets caught and Jake and Amara are arrested, but because Jake is Stacker's son, Mako gives him another option. Return to the PPDC or go to jail. Nigga, that's not a choice. That's like your mom asking, you wanna wash the dishes or get punched in your mouth? Guess I'm washing the dishes. Jake returns as an instructor while Amara becomes a cadet, and now we meet the next generation of Jaeger pilots. Look closely, remember their faces, because I promise you, in 20 minutes, you ain't remembering none of these niggas.
Sorry.
Pacific Rim 1 gave us Russians who looked like they fought bears recreationally, Chinese triplets, Australians with generational father-son beef, Mako, Rayleigh, Stacker, even Hannibal Chow walked in the movie dressed like somebody unlocked the pimp class. Uprising gives us this Disney XD lunch table ad roster. I'm looking at humanity's last line of defense like, where the soldiers at?
Smell like bitch in here.
Why everybody looking like they got a chemistry test on Friday? And somehow, Jake, the nigga who started the movie stealing government property, is now responsible for training them. That's like catching somebody doing donuts in the school parking lot and making him the driver's ed instructor. Jake is partnered with Nate Lambert, played by Scott Eastwood, and I'm gonna keep it a buck. Every time this man appeared on screen, I forgot he was there while looking directly at him. Bro has negative visual aggro. He could rob a bank with no mask and witnesses would just say, I don't know, some white dude. Jake and Nate have history too. Jake was talented but reckless. Nate stayed committed. Jake left. There's resentment and competition there. Rivalry type years. And the movie does approximately nothing interesting with it because we gotta move on to the Shao Industries. The PPDC is considering replacing human piloted Jaegers with fully automated drone Jaegers. And on paper, that actually sounds smart, right?
Hey, fuck no.
Remove pilots from danger and remotely control an entire army. This is the problem. This is Pacific Rim. The entire identity of Jaegers is built around two people mentally syncing, sharing memories, trusting each other, and collectively punching a monster across their jawline. That's the sauce. The drift is what separates these things from giant remote control toys. So naturally, the sequel says, nah, automate them. Behind this is Liwen Xiao, CEO of Xiao Industries. This woman walks into every room like somebody missed a quarterly target. No smile, no handshake, straight business. And Charlie Day works for her now. My boy Newt has changed. This is the same dude from the first movie running around with a kaiju tattoo screaming about neural handshakes. Now he got the suit on, hair slicked back, corporate job. Meanwhile, Mako is trying to stop the drone program. And this should be important. She's one of the only people alive who actually fought kaiju inside a Jaeger. She knows what human pilots mean. She survived the apocalypse. So naturally, the movie gives her barely any screen time. And then kills her. Yeah, Mako. The emotional center of the first movie gets killed in a helicopter. Not inside a Jaeger, not fighting a kaiju, a helicopter.
Damn,
Bro, imagine Luke Skywalker survives Darth Vader and the Death Star, then the next movie opens up and he dies because his Uber crashed. What are we doing? Mako survived a kaiju attack as a child and helped close the breach. Piloted Gypsy Danger into another dimension just to lose to aviation statistics. Insane.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Before she dies though, Mako sends Jake coordinates to lead to Obsidian Fury. And I ain't gonna lie, this thing looks hard. Black armor, orange energy weapons, menacing design. Bro looks like somebody gave Batman a Jaeger. Obsidian attacks Gypsy Avenger, and this is where Uprising really shows how different it handles action. These Jaegers moving like anime characters, jumping and sliding and dodging. Gypsy throwing kicks. Bro, you are a building. Act like it. The original Jaegers fought like heavyweight boxers underwater. Uprising moves like they got Hall of Fame quick first step. And faster doesn't automatically mean cooler. The reason Gypsy dragging that cargo ship was so hard was because you felt the effort. Here is punch, kick, jump, explosion, slow motion. Everything looks clean. Nothing feels massive. Eventually, Jake and Nate track Obsidian Fury to Siberia and fight it again. Gypsy finally rips it open and discovers there's no pilot. There's kaiju tissue controlling the machine. And this is actually a really good idea. A Jaeger controlled by a kaiju brain. Okay, now we cooking. Who built it? Who's controlling it? Why is kaiju tissue still active? Did humanity accidentally bring something back from the breach? For the first time, I'm like, okay, Uprising, boy, I'm listening. And then the movie remembers it has 15 other things going on. Back to Jaeger School, back to the cadets, back to Amara trying to fit in.
Who cares? Who cares?
That's Uprising's biggest problem. It keeps introducing interesting ideas and immediately walking away from them. Jake rejecting his father's legacy. Interesting. Move on. Mako opposing the drones. Interesting. Dead. Rogue Jaeger. Interesting. Solved. Kaiju controlled machine. Interesting. Hold that thought though. We gotta check on the children. Eventually, Xiao's drone program gets approved and thousands of unmanned Jaegers are activated. And anytime a movie introduces an automated army and says this is safer than humans, you already know everybody's cooked. Skynet, Ultron, Sentinels, we've done this lesson. Sure enough, Kaiju flesh starts ripping through the drones. They transform into Kaiju Jaeger hybrids, and suddenly humanity's greatest weapon has been turned against them. And this should have been the movie. An entire army of corrupted Jaegers attacking the world? That's a sequel-worthy escalation, I can't lie. Pacific Rim 1, Kaiju versus Jaegers. Pacific Rim 2, Kaiju have the Jaegers. Perfect, I'm locked in. I'm thinking Gypsy is about to fight through an army of corrupted machines. Maybe the cadets finally have to prove themselves. Maybe humanity realizes automating the Jaegers was a horrible mistake. Then Xiao presses the off button. That's it. What the fuck? She typed some computer-ish and they all shut down. Bro, you just gave me the movie and turned it off? Literally, they turned off the plot. Imagine Age of Ultron if Ultron activates his army and Tony goes, hear me out, Control, Alt, Delete, credits, boy. And now we finally learn who's behind everything. Newt. Freaking Newt. The same scientist who helped save humanity is now actively trying to end it. Bro went from closing the breach to reopening that mug himself. Generational regression. But surprisingly, I don't hate the idea. Remember what Newt did in the first movie? This psychopath connected his brain to a dead kaiju, then did it again. Everybody celebrated because it helped save humanity. Nobody stopped and asked, hey Newt, did you bring anything back with you, bro? Apparently, the answer was yes. The precursors have basically been squatting inside this nigga's frontal lobe for years now. Newt thought he was studying the kaiju. Whole time they had administrator privileges. Bro connected to kaiju Wi-Fi and downloaded malware directly into his brain. And that could have been genuinely disturbing. Imagine Newt slowly losing control, missing hours, building experiments he doesn't remember, seeing memories that aren't his, Herman slowly realizing his friend isn't acting like himself. There's a whole horror movie in there. Instead, Uprising gives Newt a kaiju brain in his apartment that he's been getting suspiciously close with. And cue the music. Why the brain got its own room, I do not know. Why you closing the door, I do not know. Why you telling everybody not to interrupt, Newt? Whatever you got going on after business hours with that brain is between you and God. But now everything connects. Newt planted kaiju cells inside Xiao's drones. He controlled Obsidian Fury, he manipulated the drone rollout, and his plan successfully opens multiple breaches across the Pacific. For a second, I'm thinking everybody is tarnished. One breach almost ended humanity last time. Now there are multiple of these mugs. Call your family. Delete that search history, cause it's been a good run, my guy. Except Xiao shuts the drones down so quickly that only 3 kaiju make it through. Rajin, Hakuja, and Strikethorn. And these 3 start heading toward Mount Fuji. Because apparently, we now learned the kaiju's real plan was always reaching Mount Fuji. Their blood reacts with rare elements inside the volcano, triggering the entire Pacific Ring of Fire. Volcanoes erupt, Earth gets terraformed, and humanity gets packed up. End of story. And I'm sitting there like, wait, that was the plan this whole time? You're telling me these aliens spent years sending kaiju through the breach one at a time, when all they needed was one of these niggas to lock in on Mount Fuji? Leatherback was in Hong Kong beating Gypsy's butt for nothing, getting straight work in. Otachi out here kidnapping Newt, wrong quest. The precursors gave everybody one objective and every kaiju started doing side quests. If kaiju blood is all you needed, spawn one next to Japan and tell bro, see that mountain? Yeah, run into it. Movie over. But we don't have time to think about that because the 3 kaiju are headed toward Tokyo and the PPDC needs pilots. Small problem. The Shadow Dome just got cooked. Most of the experienced pilots are injured, so who's left? Of course, the children. Oh, brother. Jake starts giving the cadets the inspirational speech. This is our time! This is our chance! Everybody suits up. Gypsy Avenger, Guardian Bravo, Saber Athena, Bracer Phoenix, and the Jaegers themselves, they do look cool. Saber Athena especially. 2 swords, fast as a mug. Bro looks like somebody's custom Warframe character. But again, these aren't Jaegers anymore. They're giant superheroes. Everybody flipping and sprinting through Tokyo. This first movie made every step feel like an event. Uprising got these niggas running track. And how do they transport them to Japan? Rockets, of course. They strap rockets onto the Jaegers and launch them. At this point, I stopped asking questions. Jaeger fast travel, bump it. They land in Tokyo and finally start fighting the three kaiju. And for a few minutes, I'm having some fun. It's dumb, it's loud. Tokyo is getting absolutely renovated without permission. Guardian Bravo got that electric whip. Saber Athena slicing. Bracer Phoenix got the blicky on his hip. Gypsy throwing hands. This is what I came for. Then Newt activates these parasites that crawl all over the three kaiju and they fuse. Newt pulled out polymerization. Bro fused the cards. All three become one giant mega kaiju, and now everybody is cooked. Strength, speed, armor, stats on Buku maxed mode. And immediately the mega kaiju starts dog walking everybody. Packed, cooked. Now it's basically Gypsy Avenger left, one Jaeger, one mega kaiju. Mount Fuji right there, humanity on the line. And the uprising comes up with the most ridiculous solution possible. There's a rocket nearby. Shao can remotely control it. So they attach Gypsy Avenger to said rocket, launch the entire Jaeger into the atmosphere, detach, and fall on the kaiju. I love it. See, this is the kind of stupid I support. If we're already here, don't start acting sophisticated now. Go all the way. Turn Gypsy into a 2,000-ton care package. Jake and Nate get launched into the sky until they're dang near passing commercial flights. Then Gypsy detaches. No wings, no parachute, just gravity and hatred. Imagine being a mega kaiju. You just beat 4 Jaegers. Mount Fuji is right there. Employee of the month ad kaiju is secured. Then you look up and see an apartment complex falling toward your forehead at Mach back to the lobby speeds. I'm sick, boy. That's not even combat. That's a weather event. Debris hits Nate on the way down, leaving Jake to finish the job. And this should have been Jake's big moment. Remember why he got kicked out of the Jaeger training? He tried to pilot one alone. Young Jake did it because he was reckless and wanted to prove something. Now he's alone again, except this time he's trying to save the world his father died protecting. That is full circle. Let Jake finally understand Stacker. Let him succeed where his younger self failed because he no longer is doing it for himself. The moment is right there. Instead, Amara remotely links with him, which is fine, but dang, bro, y'all had a touchdown and settle for the field goal. Gypsy keeps falling faster and faster. Jake and Amara eject, and Gypsy crashes directly through the mega kaiju. Bro gets deleted. Check the kill feed. Gypsy Avenger eliminated mega kaiju fall damage. After all these years, plasma cannons, swords, missiles, nuclear reactors, humanity's greatest weapon was apparently dropping some heavy ish on something's head. Newton is undefeated, boy. Sir Isaac been cooking for centuries. The mega kaiju dies, Mount Fuji survives, humanity wins, and Jake finally becomes the hero he spent the whole movie running from becoming, which on paper is a solid arc. The problem is the movie speed runs it. Jake starts as selfish black market criminal who wants nothing to do with his father's legacy. Then he gets arrested, Mako dies, he gives a couple of speeches, and suddenly he's Stacker Pentecost Jr. There needed to be more resentment, more pressure from everybody comparing him to his father, because Jake is carrying one of the heaviest last names imaginable. Stacker set the family expectations way too high. John Boyega has more than enough charisma to carry this movie. Whenever Jake is funny, selfish, or reckless, he's entertaining, but the movie slowly sands that all the way down until he becomes hero guy. Newt gets captured too and tells everybody this isn't over. The precursors will come back. And Jake basically tells him, nah, next time we're coming to them. Oh, wait. So Pacific Rim 3 was potentially gonna be humanity invading the precursors dimension. Bro, I would have been there. Imagine humanity rebuilding the Jaeger program specifically for an invasion. We open the breach, multiple Jaegers go through. Now we're the monsters invading the world. Precursor sitting at home and Gypsy Mark 12 steps through the portal like, remember us? That could have been ridiculous in the best way possible. Unfortunately, Uprising came out, so that junk died immediately. And that's what frustrates me most about this movie. Pacific Rim Uprising isn't devoid of good ideas. It's full of them. Jake rejecting Stacker's legacy. Good idea. Kaiju control Jaegers. Good idea. Newt being corrupted because he drifted with a kaiju. Really good idea. Humanity invading the precursors. I would watch it today. Good idea. The ingredients weren't bad. The movie just threw everything into the microwave. Nothing gets enough time, nothing gets enough weight, and nowhere is that more obvious than the Jaegers themselves, because that's the biggest downgrade. Forget Jake, forget Newt, and forget these dang teenagers. The robots don't feel like robots anymore. Go back and watch Gypsy Danger simply walking through the ocean. That junk got more aura than half the fights in Uprising. Every footstep pushes the water away. You hear the machinery working in this mug. Metal shifting and jump. When Gypsy gets hit, it takes time to recover. When it punches, the whole machine rotates into it. These aren't people wearing armor. They're machines being operated by people. Uprising forgets that distinction, and the cinematography makes it worse. The first movie constantly shows Jaegers from human level, street, rooftop, ocean, buildings in the foreground, cars underneath them. It constantly reminds you, hey, these mugs are massive. Uprising puts the camera at Jaeger eye level. So now I'm watching two skyscrapers from the perspective of another skyscraper. Of course they don't feel big. And once you look at how this movie was made, it starts to make sense. Guillermo del Toro didn't return to direct, and brother, you can tell. I'm not even talking about some film school, notice the contrasting color palette type junk. Show me 10 seconds from both movies and I know which one Del Toro made. Pacific Rim has more personality everywhere. The Shadow Dome looks lived in, the Jaegers look dirty, cities all wet and grimy. They're underground markets over here selling kaiju organs and junk. Hannibal Chow is walking around wearing gold chains and sunglasses indoors. Why? Because he's Hannibal freaking Chow. The world had flavor. Uprising looks like somebody pressure washed the franchise. Everything bright and clean and shiny. These niggas preparing for the apocalypse inside an Apple store. And I'm not saying the sequel needs to look exactly like the original. It shouldn't. But you still have to understand what parts can change and what parts are foundational. And the first movie understood that giant robots aren't automatically cool. You have to make them cool. Think about Gypsy Danger's entrance against Leatherback. Hong Kong goes dark, Leatherback is tearing through the city. Then Gypsy's reactor lights up in the distance and bro just stands there. That's it. Gypsy still has more aura than Saber Athena doing a double backflip for two swords. That's presentation. You can't calculate that junk on a spreadsheet. Even the Jaegers have personalities. Cherno Alpha barely does anything, and everybody remembers that walking Soviet refrigerator. Crimson Typhoon had 3 arms and 3 pilots. Striker Eureka, the new and faster robot. Gypsy Danger was outdated, but she had hands. You could look at every machine and immediately understand what made it different. Uprising's Jaegers were cool to look at, but they mostly felt like different skins of some junk. And that's the difference between these movies too. Pacific Rim is filled with moments. Gypsy walking out the ocean, the cargo ship, Mako's childhood flashback, Stacker's speech. Oh my goodness, the double breach, closing the breach. Uprising has a lot of things happening. There's a difference. One sticks with you, the other just keeps your eyes occupied for 2 hours. And that's why this sequel is so frustrating. I can see the better movie underneath it. Keep Mako alive. Actually explore Jake living in Stacker's shadow. Something. Make Amara the engineer. She literally built a freaking Jaeger. Let the corrupted drone army be a real threat. Slowly reveal Newt losing control to the precursors. You got a whole movie there. Instead, Uprising keeps walking into interesting ideas and then immediately leaving. The first Pacific Rim wasn't perfect. That movie was actually dumb as a mug too, but it was so cool at the same time. It completely believed in itself. Straight robots and alien monsters and hands. 2 pilots are gonna connect their brains through some shared trauma and they gonna beat this alien to death with a cargo ship. Take it or leave it. And I took that junk gladly. Uprising thought everything needed more. More Jaegers, more pilots, more technology, more kaiju, more breaches, mega kaiju, kaiju Jaeger hybrids, rocket powered Jaegers falling out of the atmosphere. And somehow all of that more created less. Because spectacle isn't about how much junk you put on the screen. It's about making me care about when it happens. This movie is more like seeing somebody you went to high school with at Walmart. I recognize you, we got history, hope you're doing good, but I'm not stopping my cart, bro. Keep it pushing. Because whenever I want Pacific Rim, I know exactly which movie I'm putting on, and it dang sure ain't this one. Uprising tried to make everything bigger, faster, and crazier than the original, and accidentally proved none of those things is what made Pacific Rim great. So maybe this movie did teach us something, that we should just forget it. Like, after this video, just like and comment and subscribe and just forget it.
They did fuck that movie movie up. I ain't.
Shit. Thanks for watching YouTube. Goodbye. My bad. Yeah, they did fuck that movie up. That movie was good. The first one was good as hell. Second one, buns. They needed to slow it down. They had to slow that shit down. If they slowed it down and just focus on each part, they trying to build a story and they followed that story for a little bit, then they switched to the other part. Yeah, that shit would have been nice. That shit would have been almost better than the original one.